Escott, very talented filmmaker. He shot his feature a couple of years ago called Cruel Summer. He's now running a film night in Cardiff, which has been great. Phil, who watches the vlog, so thank you, Phil, asked us whether we'd be up for doing a bit of a behind the scenes and filming the Q&A for Dark Signal, which again, another film, Welsh filmmaker, shot in Wales, starring, I forget the guy's name, the guy from Torchwood, Bing! That guy. So yeah, we popped along, we filmed the Q&A for that, and what we're going to do is, this will be the special episode, so this is the bulk of this episode, is you guys will now get to see the full Q&A. Warning, if you haven't seen the film, there may well be spoilers in there, so, you know, proceed with caution. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I thought the guys, you know, were very good at kind of sharing the dirt.
Down to earth, very transparent, and
I mean,
insightful.
Low budget, not us low budget, but still, relatively speaking, low budget. And yeah, it was interesting to kind of see how that project came together and everything. So enjoy.
Okay, so guys, thanks all for sticking around, and please give us a round of applause for our guests. Nothing formal, guys, nothing too challenging. Okay, that's good. That's the way we like it. But let's talk about the Genesis more than good to start as the Genesis, I guess. So this was your second film, wasn't it, after the micro-budget film at the station?
Yeah.
Or would you say that was your first film, or was this your first film?
I kind of think of this, I know you'll disagree, but I don't really think of the previous one as a film.
Okay.
It's one of those, are there any low-budget filmmakers here? Okay. Right, so you kind of really just, as your first thing, have to get something out there, which is, and just go through that process and learn how it all works, because it's such a huge process. And that was really kind of, there was a review at the time of Infestation, which I thought, it was trying to be mean, but actually hit the nail on the head. And it said, it's not so much a low budget film as the highest budget home movie you've ever seen. And I thought, yeah, it's a fair kind of estimation of it, because like all the actors were just friends, and it was shot on a camcorder of my dad's and things like that. But going through the process of, you know, having to edit it on a little crappy PC at home, but then taking it, we took it to the Cannes Film Festival, and all of a sudden there was some interest in it, and then yeah, it got bought up by a company and it's distributed worldwide to all these countries. So going through that process of the film is.
How did that prepare you for Dark Signal?
Just really, again, it's just learning from the process. Even though the film was not great, you just go through the different steps and realise that it is achievable, and you think, all right, now I'm going to start with something better.
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, for a follow-up film, you tackled a lot with this film. The match, I mean, you didn't take it easy on yourself.
Yeah, we were just discussing that.
I mean, most people would think, I know, I'm just going to make a slasher film, or I'm just going to make a ghost film. But you thought, you know what? I'm going to throw in a slasher, a ghost story, and a bit of possession.
Yeah,
I mean,
a bit of everything.
So what was going to be head?
Fight scene, exploding car, and all that sort of stuff. I don't know what was going through our heads.
How much do you think? What could be the hardest thing to do? I don't know, just get all this material and just throw it into one story. I mean, most people think.
To be honest, I suppose it's a fair estimation of what's going on in my head most of the time, which is kind of, I obviously love horror films and lots of different kinds of horror films, and from, well, you know, I was enjoying some of the trailers that you showed before the film. Yeah, sort of like old Universal horror films and Hammer films and sort of 1970s Italian giallo and all that kind of stuff, as well as sort of like The Ring and John Carpenter and all this kind of stuff. And I suppose I was thinking, I bet it would be great if I put all those things together.
Because you did, you got it, it's all in there. There's definitely the giallos in there.
Love it all over, it's all
definitely
there.
the K horror, the J horror, and indeed the Carpenter radio sort of elements in there as well. In regards to getting Neil Marshall on board, I know you're friends with him.
Yeah.
But did it take much persuasion, or was it just a case of him saying?
We'd always been looking for something to work on together, and there were a couple of scripts before this one that just didn't go. Yeah. For one thing, it was in 2008. There was the big sort of financial meltdown, wasn't there? And all sort of film funding went to the bye-byes, so a project kind of went south during that, I think. But one very important thing that Neil did do was make the introduction between us, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I did meet Neil at an event, and we got talking, and I said,
There's a bathroom back. Drop that in.
yeah.
Do the name down.
Exactly. And yeah, I told him that I want to produce films, and he then said he knows someone who has a script. Actually, quite like a couple of weeks later, I got the script.
You said something very specific though that got his attention.
Yeah, so basically he asked me like, oh, you want to produce, so you're actually a director who doesn't really get your film made, so now you're a producer. And I was like, no, I actually really want to produce. I want to work with directors, I want to work with creative people and make their films. And I was like, really? I don't think I've ever heard that. So he says like, usually producers are kind of failed directors, and he said that I have a friend, and so he took my business card. A couple of weeks later, got the script sent to, read it same day at the office instead of doing work. Really loved it. Got back to him.
This is on camera, then.
Yeah. And then yeah, we met in London a few weeks later.
And how did
So it was like Neil brought two of us together.
And how do you feel having like a master of British horror, so being under his wing?
Yeah, it was definitely
Not me, Neil. No, that's what.
No, it was definitely like massive. Also, it was just a massive door opener. So talking to people and saying, "Oh, we have Neil Marshall as executive producer," was so much easier than going to. It was still like knocking on doors and very often not getting answers. But it was different than just us me never made a film before, and Ed, I would say the second one, where it's really so difficult to even get into the room with people. With now having Neil Marshall's name attached, that was definitely yeah. But it wasn't. I expected it to be like also James Cosmo. When I got attached to the film, James Cosmo was already in the cast, Gareth as well. And I just thought like, oh wow, with those people, this will be so easy. We're going to get that money within half a year. It wasn't that easy, but it would definitely happen.
You did get the money within half a year, though.
Yeah, it took a bit
6 months. No, I worked out. No, it was 6 months, I think.
I was going to say, with raising, I know it's a very low budget film, even raising money for a low budget film is a ball ache. Did you find having, I know James Cosmo isn't a huge name for regular folk, but for film lovers, he's amazing.
Well, yeah, that was. I mean, no one says, "Oh, I'm off to the cinema to watch the new James Cosmo film," do they? But one thing that's very key was when he got involved. He read the script and he liked it. And he wanted to be involved, and then because he was involved, we managed to get other members of the cast because they go, "Oh, right, James Cosmo's involved." So he was sort of. He brought in the other actors because they wanted to work with him, or he gave it a credibility right off the bat because he wanted to be involved in it. And that was the reason that Cinzia did the film. Yeah, because she knew James Cosmo, and she said, "Oh, you've got James Cosmo involved, it must be legit."
Oh, okay.
Because if you think, if you think about it from Cinzia's point of view, she's never done an English language film. I didn't realise that until she turned up. And we were talking about it, and I was thinking, no, you have done one. I mean, she should know better than I do. But I was convinced she'd done an English language film, but she'd been dubbed in all the films she'd done in The Beyond and We Amiga and all that kind of stuff. So,
because that's a big plus for the film for me, because she's such a cult geek like myself, seeing Cinzia Monreale on a Welsh film.
Yeah.
Are you real? What the hell? She was in Fulci's film, she was in Diamato's films, and now she's in Wales?
Yeah.
What? But how do you even think about it?
That was the most exciting. That was the biggest high point of the whole film. When I got that email, and she said, "Yes, I'm going to do it." Yeah. That is. I actually showed emotion.
I mean, but that was interesting. We were like, we had first another actress attached for that role, and she then at one point said she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to die in the film again. No. But then we were like talking, who could we ask? And I was like, Ed, like if you could just like tell me a name you want, not thinking of it's realistic or not. Who do you want?
Yeah, what type of person?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, a Cinzia Monreale type.
And I was like, okay, let's
we just get Cinzia Monreale.
But that was definitely the most difficult one. So with her agent, I like was in touch for quite some time. And he was like, I mean, he liked it, she liked it, but it was more kind of, who are you guys? So they've never heard of us again, like, Wales, we had to fly her in from Italy. So for her it was more kind of like, can I trust you guys, rather than that she wouldn't really have wanted to
So we
make.
moved all this stuff to the end
Yeah.
of the schedule, and
Yeah.
she sort of came on set sort of early on, didn't she? To sort
Yes,
of like,
spend-
is this
spend
for
quite-
real?
That does
you
say
just-
something. When someone's worked with Joe D'Amato,
Yeah.
has trust issues.
Yeah.
You guys
Okay,
don't
yeah.
shit.
I suppose, but yeah, but it's the thing, isn't it? It's kind of like maybe once you've been burnt by something like that,
Yeah.
then it's.
I mean, it was different. James Cosmo, for example, he wasn't like, oh, I just come for those days, shoot it. We did a week of rehearsals with everyone, and he was just, no, I just turn up for the shoot. But she was like, oh yeah, I do want to come for the rehearsals. So she spent a week with us, as I'd said, and actually spent the whole time on set until we shot her scenes. And that was really important for her. So she wanted to kind of get to know us.
Mm. It's
Speak,
nice to get to
speak a
know
lot
her.
of English before she actually shot her scenes. So.
And were you a fan of Lucio's films? Are you a big horror guy like Ed?
Oh, that's now embarrassing.
Oh.
So I was actually like when I met Ed, I was like, I can't really watch horror films. I'm way too scared. But because I liked Ed and I really liked the script, which I also was even like scared reading it. After that, until we started shooting, and especially afterwards, I just watched a lot of horror films, and now I'm totally a horror fan as well.
No,
so.
you converted him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how important was it for you to film in Wales? I know it's quite close to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about this before. I mean, North Wales, which is sort of like another star, I feel, of the film, it gets used a lot by other productions, big Hollywood films like, I think Tomb Raider 2 shot there. and
Marvel,
King Arthur
enjoy
shot
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always playing somewhere else. It's always playing sort of China or New Zealand or something like that. It never gets to play Wales, and so I one of the first things I did was I took you on a tour, didn't I, of Snowdonia.
Yeah,
I was like,
amazing,
we could do this, it's great, and you know, all these fantastic locations, and it can actually be Wales, Snowdonia. Although one of the American reviews did mock us for making up a name as stupid as Snowdonia.
Well, if you knew Wales in the name,
Google it, mate.
Snowdonia's not so bad. But some of the challenges I'm sure you encountered filming in Snowdonia, and I've shot there a few times.
Yeah.
So how did you find it? I mean, it looks glorious there, but
Yeah,
I can
it's-
guarantee maybe 3 minutes after that it pissed down or
Really?
snowed.
Really lucky.
I think we were just so lucky with.
I mean, generally, we had the first night of the night shoots,
Oh,
it
hell no.
poured down, like, but that was the only rain we had, so the rest of the shoot was absolutely no problem. The days we were in Snowdonia were really beautiful, so yeah, no, actually, absolutely no problem.
And are you thinking of filming anything else there anytime soon? Is there anything else in the pipeline?
I definitely love to shoot Wales again. I think, and especially North Wales, because I know I'm in Cardiff now, so I can't. Which I was trying to work out before what the feud is between North and South.
Yeah,
What's the-
obviously. I know it
what's the
seems
deal?
that every country, even in Italy, like with South and North Italy, they hate each other. In England, they like the North and
I
South.
don't get it. Yeah, I would love to do something else because South Wales, Cardiff's got so much going on here. There's so many films being shot on TV, you know, excellent TV and this kind of thing. So it's like, can't we have something up in North Wales? You know, some little film shooting or something.
And shooting there was brilliant, so the people were extremely helpful.
What,
so it was kind of
You say.
either they were like, or they were really helpful, and we had like a lot of really helpful
The
people.
crew were a bit freaked out that they couldn't get phone signal.
That
the
was
thing I remember.
Yeah,
We
that's
were
been
making
for like 3
the
weeks.
film was
No
written
internet.
based on the idea that it's ridiculous that people go, oh, in a horror film, we can't get a phone signal in this day and age.
Yeah.
And so we made a horror film where everyone can get phone signal. And that's
Except
hard.
we didn't.
Except for when we're making the film, no one can get any phone signal. And actually,
That was a
one of the
challenge,
difficult things to do is to get the shots of things like people receiving texts and stuff like that in the film. It's like, no, we'd stand around, we'd have any signal, we'd have to like go, oh, God,
Picture in post.
Yeah, it was that bad.
Yeah.
But in regards to North Wales as well, that slate quarry, was that Llanberis? Where was
No,
that?
that was just somewhere in the Horseshoe Palace, so it was actually quite small.
How did the actors feel with that scene? Because choreographing that must have been fun with all that slate everywhere.
Yeah, well, to be honest, this is kind of where we got into trouble a little bit with the with the end of this film. Yeah, I'd say choreographing that fight scene at the end was the most fun I had on the whole shoot. That was just an absolute joy to do, because we had Gareth, who's fantastic, and we got in a stunt performer, Martina, and she came off Vikings, and she was absolutely amazing. So she had like loads of ideas what to do and that kind of stuff, and we just spent a morning. We put like a little crash mats out.
And we had an amazing fight director.
Oh, good, yes, sorry, yeah, I was forgetting Phil. Yeah, so he was doing fight, and the three between them had like worked out all this fight scene. It was just great fun doing it with laughing. Haha, we could do this, we could do this. And then when we came to shoot it, and I'd said to the makeup people, oh, you know, there's certain injuries that are going to happen here. You just follow on, put a bit of blood here, and do this for each injury. Of course, by the end of the fight scene, it wasn't so. it was like, oh, what have we done here? I think it was the final shot where someone said, oh, put a bit of blood in your mouth, Joanne, and just spit it out on the last punch. And I think that's when I looked at the monitor. I was like, yeah, I might have gone a bit far here. I didn't mean it to be this unpleasant. Yeah. I think it is. It does get.
Go back to the punch after you.
I mean, this is the thing. When you make a film, everyone watching it kind of presumes that you've put stuff in it because you're really into it and you love it. Which I suppose there is a lot of that stuff in this film. But if you're making a horror film, you put stuff into it that you find disturbing or you find uncomfortable. So I did struggle with that. That final scene of her getting hit came up time and time again in conversations. I mean, right down to the sound mix, where the guy doing the sound mix said, I'm sorry, I've got a real problem with this scene. And I was like, okay, let's talk about it. He was like, I don't like it, and he's hit her in the face. And he said, I think we can minimise the effects of this by taking the sound effects of all punches down, making it less graphic. And I said, well, look, would you do that if it was a male character? And he went, no, I'd turn all the sound up. And I thought, do that then.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like one of the, you kind of like do things based on weird, arbitrary decisions. So
yeah, but she's not a victim. I mean, she
well,
probably
yeah,
looks
I mean,
ass.
Yeah,
look,
she wins.
we had these arguments on set, we had them in the edit, and we had them in the sound mix, and this kind of thing. And it is a horror movie, and it is meant to be unpleasant. But I know it's like, particularly when he's hitting her in the face at the end, that's something that comes up time and time again.
I mean, I was as well. Every time I watched it, was oh.
And sometimes
It's a good reaction to
internet
have.
said, some guy was doing a review on the internet or something said I was sick, and it was kind of like, I am, but not for that reason. Yeah, so it's you put something out there and you have to kind of stand by it. And
Man, stand by that is
Yeah.
brilliant. But what advice would you have to aspiring filmmakers in the audience, other than getting a Marshall tape?
go on.
I mean, basically, what is the great thing for me now doing that is I didn't know how hard it is. So I was just so excited, and we just thought, okay, we're going to do it. We set ourselves a date, and then we just did it. And that would be my main advice: is definitely just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
But it's also, I would say, do your research, read all the time about how the industry works, who is in the industry, what are they doing, but also watch all the time films, read a lot of screenplays, just get as much information as possible, and then just keep on doing it.
I think I build on what you just said there, which I think you have to be a little bit stupid to do it, and I think it's great. Obviously, you do know to need to know this. You can't just like wander into it blind because you'll get killed. But the more you learn about these things, the more knowledge you get, the more you become scared of your own shadow. And I think before this film, in between the two films, because there was a long break between the two films, I did feel myself kind of like, oh, you know, but what about this? This could go wrong. This could go wrong. And there comes a point where you just do have to go, no, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, it is probably a weird mix of kind of trying to get to know a lot, and maybe also get to know what can go wrong, and then put that aside and still, because if you really think, because if you really think of how hard it is and how competitive
You'd never
it
do
is,
it, would you?
then you would not do it. So, but if you don't know it, then you also can't really work in an industry and have no clue how it works. It's kind of getting to know how it works and then be so stupid as to do it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Imagine about you, sort of, with your stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
I have no clue what I was doing. I just winged it the entire
do you
time.
watch it and kind of get like, flashbacks like Nam or something like that.
Yeah.
It seems like, oh my god, what was it like on that day to do?
Sort of the entire time.
Okay.
But one last question is in regards to the reception. So here, unfortunately, like with most British horror, it went straight to DVD, but in America it gets a limited theatrical release.
Mm.
How do you find it dealing with the UK industry as opposed to the US? Do you think one's more receptive than the other, or how would you think the UK industry fares up against the US?
I do think the Americans are much more excited and much more supportive. So it's like especially the sales representative we have in the US, they were super excited. And obviously it's like everything a bit over the top, but it's like they call me, this thing is amazing and we're gonna get you a great deal. And then you kind of probably have to downplay it. And the British are the opposite. So it's kind of everything is a bit, oh yeah, James Cosmo is great, but he doesn't sell a film. And then you have to kind of upplay that a bit. So it's, I guess reviews was mixed. So we had like really good reviews in the UK, really bad reviews here, and the same in the US as well. What we definitely got much more from the US when it was released on Netflix is a lot of people tweeting. Mostly good, a few bad ones as well, but mostly kind of super excited. And in the UK, it was not like there were that many.
Yeah.
Or just kind of probably watched it, enjoyed it, but not necessarily go on Twitter and talk about it.
Yeah, because I've been there with Cruel Summer. It's one of those things where people either love it or hate it, and the people who hate it, they're vocal, and the people who love it,
well,
not so much.
Yeah, because I think people are always far more vocal about stuff they hate, don't they? They're always going to be.
Again, on Twitter, when we released it on Netflix, we had so many people saying, oh, there's a new film on Netflix, it's amazing, watch it. They released it right at the beginning of October, and in the US, I didn't know that it's a thing, but it's like 31 days of horror, so they all watch a horror film every day up to Halloween.
So by the time I got to the 20s, they were running out. I'll give this one a whirl now.
No. There was like very often number 2 or 3, because it was just released on Netflix, and it was like number 3, Dark Signal, and like really a lot of excited. And that was for us so great, because in the UK you would rather think it's maybe people who have heard of us, or it's just a British or Welsh film. But in the US they had no clue, so it's literally just a horror film on Netflix, and that is great when they get so excited about it.
But definitely, I think America was far more positive.
Yeah.
And I actually went over there and I met the guys, and they were like super excited. And you feel kind of like quite special when you be positive.
I mean, it's appreciate a British accent, I guess.
Well, maybe that's it. But you do feel like they're doing you a favour rather than
And you always say that really well. It's like in the US.
Well, no, you're doing them a favour. We've got that wrong already.
No, it's like in the US. They want you to succeed, and they kind of think you might be the next big star, so they don't want to miss that train. So they kind of like, and in the UK it's more a bit like, oh yeah, they're not going to make it anyway, so I'm not going to be attached to them. So it is.
It's starting from a point of a feeling of either failure or
Yeah.
success, isn't it? And I think when you look at the Americans and their whole kind of ethos is built around everyone having a dream and going after their dream. And I think, if you say, I'm going after my dream, people are very supportive of that. Brilliant, you're going after your dream, that's wonderful, that's great. And there's this perception that there is enough of whatever that dream is to go around, and everybody just needs to go get it, and we'll all have a part of the American dream. Whereas in Britain, there's this feeling that there's a limited amount of dream, and only a few people have no. And if you have some of it, you're actually, no, you're having some of my dream there. Oh no, don't take that. I want that back again. So it's kind of like, no, it's mine. So it's not kind of like an as nice a feeling. I think that it's all more supportive of that.
On that cheery note, guys, any questions?
Yes, sir. One person with a hand up.
I'm Scottish, by the way, guys, so watch out.
Oh, right, okay.
So love the Scottish contingent. So the film's got that sort of very distinct, you've got the radio station stuff and then you've got the farmhouse stuff.
Yeah.
Would you treat them as two very different films, or were they, were you approaching them as a whole?
Well, I suppose, I mean, they were obviously shot separately, and there was a very different vibe to the two shoots because all the radio station stuff was right at the end. So maybe we were kind of a bit more in a swing then of what we were doing. It felt a lot easier. And looking at the film now, I kind of think that those scenes have a bit more flow to them. I think, oh yeah, we were kind of into it by then. But yeah, the tricky bit in the edit was trying to marry the two up. And some people don't have a problem with it. I kind of thought that the audience would be more open to that sort of stuff because everyone watches Game of Thrones and Walking Dead and all that kind of stuff where you've got lots of different characters in different places doing different things, and you presume, well, this is all going to mesh together somehow. But no, that's apparently not the case.
I found that with Cruel Summer, like the A story is one person on their own, which like in this, it's hard to make something interesting when it's just one person in the car or one person in a barn. But then the B story is people in a Radio Shack, there's rapport, there's energy. And yeah, so when you cut from high energy to someone on their own, it is a juggling act, but you pull it off.
Oh, for me, that was one of the main things that got me so excited about the script. Is again, like I was literally scared reading it, and the radio station was always kind of a relief. So it was like in the car, oh, the ghost, and then you go to the radio station, it's funny, it's a relief, and then you go back. So if it was like constantly me being tense, that probably kind of wouldn't really have worked.
But that's, I think, kind of reverses that, doesn't it? In that the radio station becomes kind of like a scary place as well. As that kicks in, and hopefully people have got enough faith in this to think, well, this must come together. But I think a lot of the negative reviews seem to say I stopped watching it after 20 minutes because it was just two things rammed together with no thought. Like,
but yes, you need to wait till the end of the twist, which brings it all together.
But it is now a main challenge that, so if you have a room of people in the cinema, everyone watches the film, then it's much easier to follow that. But the challenge now is that a lot of people watch it maybe on a laptop or TV, they do something at the same time, and they might just miss something. And we realize that now that actually quite often in films they repeat things, probably for the people who have missed it once, and then you repeat it or you say it.
You're repeating it visually, and I mean, one of the things that maybe minimised that was that we did a lot of test screenings, which I thought were really, really useful. One of which was at college in North Wales College, Cambria, and yeah, that was a case of watching people kind of like this, which is obviously heartbreaking. You're thinking, you missed all this work we put in, you want to kind of let go. But no, but it's sort of, you could start seeing, I watched the audience rather than the film, because I knew back to when it was, doing editing at that point. But I watched the audience and I kind of thought, right, okay, that's the bit that's lost, then that bit needs to come down. Oh, this bit they're interested in, maybe put a bit more of that. And then where they were completely lost on the plot, that was when we went sort of back and sort of made a line of dialogue, something like that, a bit clearer or something.
And in regards to the big twist as well, was there any concerns of that? Do you think, are they going to get this? Are they going to figure it out? Because I didn't have a clue, to be honest. When I first watched it, I was like, who is this Wedlock Killer, which is a great name for the film. But was there any concerns, like, is it going to be obvious?
No, the big complaints that people keep hurling at me is that it's not obvious enough, and that they don't feel it's possible, and they kind of feel that it's a bit of a swizz at the end, and it's kind of. I thought we'd been quite kind of layering clues and foreshadowing throughout the script. It's things like, people keep using the phrase, what difference does a day make, and all that sort of stuff, and they're talking about the days, and they keep mentioning the delay and all that kind of stuff. Even the cartoon at the start on the TV is about like a ghost who misses Halloween because she slept too long and she's missed the day. So it's kind of like, how many times can we reiterate that to put it in people's mind? But still at the end, people are kind of like, oh, it's a swizz. Yeah. Because they don't think back over the story. But I think maybe one of the mistakes that we made was not having a scene that sort of explicitly, he explains it, doesn't he? But I think maybe if we'd actually shown it, gone back in time and sort of shown how
that's a bit obvious though, isn't it? With the,
the
old maniacal flashback.
But Sixth Sense, usual suspects, because all these films with big twists do it, and I think maybe we would put up, got ourselves a bit of wiggle room there. Because obviously there are scenes where, there's a scene where she rings him in the radio station, and he's, I'm on air, and if you look in the background, Laurie's not there, because she's already dead. And that's him starting the show. He's literally just started the playback at that point, and that's why she can ring him and he's at the radio station. And likewise, when she's talking about Laurie early on, he's on the laptop. He says, but am I going to get to meet her? And he said, don't hold your breath, because she's already there. But obviously these things are working.
We're not heads.
And this is something people have seen it more than once, and then they go, actually she isn't even in the radio station. So you do kind of miss it because you just...
I guess we thought people would watch it more than once. What a mistake to make.
Just a really quick one, and talking about time and all that, just coming back to film, how long did you have? What was the schedule like? And was everything in kind of similar locations? Did you not have a lot of travelling between that setup and that setup? Or was it that sort of stuff really?
So we shot it in 4 weeks, and we basically we shot on a farm, had a barn there which we transformed in a studio, and we probably shot about 80% in and around that farm, so that was really good. We also lived quite close there, so we really didn't have a lot of driving around. Then we had the days in Snowdonia and in the quarry, so that was kind of the days we had to travel. But other than that, we really tried it. That was like one main thing we tried to do. Is our original plan was to have the car scene not outside, but literally then in the barn, shaking the car. But then
because we said it was going to be night, but the DP Adrian did an absolutely amazing job. He was like, so let me get this straight. You want to film it. It's set in Snowdonia. You've got this amazing landscape.
You don't want to see it.
And you don't want to see it. And have it at night. The first thing you did when you got to the radio station location, you stood up on the top of it and looked out to sea and went, I can see why you want to film this place at night. I was like, thanks, Adrian. It's a horror film. But it's he was the one that really kind of said, look, have it sort of like early evening or something, the sun's going down, and let's see more of North Wales. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. We did at the time, we just didn't think it was going to be possible. But we found a way.
You just touched on something earlier on, which is a really interesting point, which is about the different way that people consume films now. It wasn't until that long ago that the assumption was a film was made and it was going to be shown in a cinema, or that people may miss it and watch. And now there's this kind of assumption that people are going to consume it on phones and laptops, which I think is a fucking abomination personally, but anyway, that's just me. And a concentration span. I find there's a paradox at the moment where we're being told within the age of like super high production value TV that audiences are intelligent and they really want good quality stuff. And yet, as you said yourself, you stuck your film in front of an audience, and that would have died inside when you've gone to all this effort and you've got people who can't spend 90 minutes watching a film without playing around with the phone. So, this is a partial rant, but I'll bring it back to a question, which is: do you find that the knowledge of how different audiences are, potentially different audiences are, does that feed into your mind when you're conceiving, you're making a film, or do you just say, no, screw it, I'm going to make the film I want to make, and if people can't concentrate, it's their problem?
I'd say was a constant debate that I was having with myself, and also my brother that did the music and some of the sound stuff on it as well, and we were constantly. I was saying, you've got to think this is going to be on someone's TV or someone's phone or laptop, and then he was like, do you want to make a film for someone's phone or laptop? It is a different film seeing it on a screen this big and when you see it in the cinema to when you just put it on the DVD at home or you watch it on your laptop or something. So I'd say it is a debate, but it's.
I mean, for us, it's reality. Christopher Nolan would say, I made a film for the IMAX. But for us, it's reality that we have you guys seeing it at the cinema. We had like a week in LA in a cinema. I don't know how many people have seen it, but afterwards, the majority of people have seen it on Netflix or here on Sky. And the whole thing with on phone, the statistics shows that even people streaming, majority is on TV. So like the phone, I would kind of not really take that too seriously. But that people now watch films, it does happen. But I still think most of the people watch it on a TV or maybe on a laptop. But for us saying we make the film for the cinema, that is just far away from the reality. Because even if it has a small cinema release, 95% or more will watch it at home. And it is probably now, I mean, afterwards we were kind of, wow, on the big screen with the sound, it works much better. And we had to tell ourselves, yeah, but reality is most of the people will watch it on a smaller screen. And for me now as a producer, that would be for next film is like, it has to work on a small screen. So you can't, or we can't make a film that only works in the cinema.
Yeah, sure. I actually just followed. I didn't necessarily mean in terms of the scope of it. I just meant in terms of, you know, you were talking before about certain bits, people being lost and stuff, and about general like concentration spans and stuff. I mean, does that feed into it? What more?
I think it probably will in the future.
Yeah,
That's the common stars. If something happens every 7 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we knew obviously we don't have much money, so you can't have a huge sequence sort of going off every 5 minutes in a film like that. So at the script level, we were kind of like, well, let's write the scene so the audience is trying to work out what's going on in the scene, you know, in a slightly obscure way, so that the audience is like a detective and trying to work out each scene, what's going on, how are these two characters related and whatever. But I think ultimately that's sort of.
But that, yeah, and I think that's definitely something I wouldn't now also like in the writing stage say, oh, we have to make sure we write it so people who don't really watch it and are on the phone understand it. I wouldn't go that far.
No one ever went into the recording booth to do ADR stuff to make a line more obscure, did they? So it's kind of like you're always trying to make it, explain it more to the audience. So I think that we're going to see more and more in the future of people kind of like underlining plot points and less subtlety, I think, in film and TV stuff.
Sad.
Yeah, I was just interested about the characterization of the wedlock killer and how that changed through the scripting process, because you open up and this is your primary antagonist. You don't really go into what his motivations are for killing in such a ritualistic, specific way, and if there was ever a version of that character that came out more in the script.
Again, it sort of comes down to one line right at the end, isn't it? When she says "fuck you" and he says "maybe if you had," and I think in my head it's kind of like, oh, that's obviously the audience that he, you know, they would, her and her boyfriend were going to get married, and he's kind of like got in on the act, gone to kill her, probably dressed in his mask, whatever, and thrown her downstairs. So she survived. He's framed the boyfriend for it. So and obviously now she's not getting married, but it's kind of like he's got a taste for it, and it's that kind of like. I felt it was sort of like maybe he was going to be the one that went to propose to her. That was his kind of backstory. And I think that's stuff we talked to Gareth about. But yeah, there's you know when you talk.
I just wondered.
I think we've got this much stuff going on that there's always some casualties, and it, you know what you've raised there is something that a lot of people have. Oh, I want to know more about that character. There's always that danger if you feel like, oh, I haven't gone into that enough. And then you get other things you might go into too much, you might concentrate on other characters too much. So it is a juggling act.
I think it fits in with the Jarlo motifs, because trying to figure out who the killer are and Jarlos.
Yeah. But you see, I absolutely agree. And that, for me, those films I absolutely love. And you know, I think the best one ever is Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I think that's one of my favourite ever Jarlo films. And Tenebrae is fantastic as well, you know, and if you just saw the end of Tenebrae, you think, hang on a minute, does that make sense? You have to watch that film like 2 or 3 times to work out, is that even possible? And so maybe that's the sort of the vibe I was going for, but then that's not not everyone is into
it's everyone's cup of tea, but if
you
get it.
A few people have got that reference thanks to Chintzy being in it, but not many.
A lot of people watch Jarlo.
Yeah. We need to push that.
It's their fault.
How important was it for his glasses to be as much of a mask as his actual mask?
What's
His
it?
glasses.
His glasses, because in a way it was almost as much of a mask as his actual mask was.
Oh, because he takes them off at the end when he sort of reveals himself. Yeah, I have a horrible feeling that started to occur on me as the shoot went on, that he'd kind of modelled his character on me. And in fact, the first time my ex-wife saw the film, she went, "This guy's just like a hotter version of you." Do you know that, don't you? And I was like, is it? And a couple of times on set, people started referring to the character as Ed, and I was like, why do you call him the killer Ed? And then the female DJ character, who's sort of kind of loosely based on a friend of mine, recognised the rapport between the two characters and then became very concerned that I was a killer. So it was, I think, like the whole kind of, I worry, but I think maybe the glasses thing did come from him white. Because he doesn't wear glasses, does he? So that was a request that he made as a character. At least he didn't have like a shaved head and a short beard as well. That would have just finished off.
Yeah, I think we're all actually wondering this now. Are you a killer?
So I'll go on record now saying, at this juncture, I have not killed yet.
Maybe in development on another film as well.
On a murder. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I think you, as a filmmaker, you always are. There's never a time when you're not thinking, I'll make a good film. But yeah, there's a lot of writing going on, scripts and stuff like that, because you can't, and you will know this as well, very, very well, you can't go through a process like that without learning exponentially. So that you know next time, right, I'm not going to make that mistake, I'm not going to do that. You know, all the things that have come up today, all the questions and the feedback and stuff. But I think what we were talking about, right after having seen the film, because we haven't watched it for a year. So I think it's very, very important that we kind of like learn from him and move on and do something new.
Well, I'm excited. So
learn from
speed
that
up,
process. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah,
We shot that in 2014, so time to do it.
So like, comment, follow, subscribe, add,
We need money.
fondle,
We need money
moist.
for batteries.
Clearly, because I
the
mean,
fucking
look what's
lights-
happening at us, you know?
It's terrible, just pathetic bulb
Everything.
above
This
our
chair's about to go. I mean,
heads. My adapter's gone.
I have
it's
no idea.
fucked.
I mean, we haven't really sorted out a way that you can send us money, but
Just come to my house with money.
I mean, that's kind of weird.